Let's go to the phones and see if our phone system is functioning at 617-830-4750. Let me go first to our caller from the 651 area code. Who is calling today from 651?
Hi, David. Is this me?
Yes, it is.
Hi, this is Mike from the Twin Cities, Minnesota. Big fan of your show. So my question to you today is, as I'm sure you've heard, there's been like some conservative infighting going on between the traditional branches of conservatism like Ben Shapiro, Charlie Kirk, and a more like right-wing nationalistic form of conservatism, basically neo-Nazis, mostly led by a guy named Nick Fuentes.
Right.
And and a lot of people on the left are saying like, oh, look, like it's funny, like, look, there's this infighting, no unity among the right. But I'm a little worried about it because from my perspective, it doesn't seem like it's just harmless infighting. It seems like the right is actually consolidating behind Nick Fuentes, and he's siphoning off support from traditional conservatism.
Let me ask you a question. What percentage of this country do you believe knows who Nick Fuentes is?
Well, right now, not that high, but when you go online, he's a very, very popular figure.
Right,
and I think he's
understand that.
More
I
popular.
think here's my view on this. I think this is not a perfect analogy by any means, but in the same way that if you just pay attention to Twitter and Reddit, you probably had the impression during the Democratic primary that Bernie's support was dramatically higher than what it really ended up being in the primary. A lot of these slivers of the right are essentially unknown in popular culture outside of certain enclaves. And in fact, there are tons of people in my audience who are involved in the online political space who also have no idea who Nick Fuentes is. I mean, I know who he is, but I don't follow him in any way. So I understand the concern, and there's no doubt that if support on the right starts to consolidate around movements like that, it would be a very, very scary thing. Right now, I don't think it's going on. Now, that doesn't mean it won't happen, and that doesn't mean we don't need to be worried about it. But I think that we really don't want to overstate the power of these movements when it doesn't deserve to be overstated.
That's a good point. But I guess my bigger question was, what can the left strategy be? Because what I've noticed is that a lot of these people are anti-capitalist, and they advocate for a lot of the same positions that we on the left for, free college, free healthcare, but only for white people, like Nick Fuentes himself. So, and we've seen that in Europe too. So how does the left respond to that?
Well, so one thing is, I don't know that the left has to respond to fights that right now are mostly within the right. I actually think it's smarter for the left to stay out of it completely and let them destroy themselves or weaken themselves to the extent that they will. If at a certain point, though, it goes more mainstream, which I think is what your concern is, then the left will have to put together a strategy. Now, if you check out my clip from earlier this week, populism may be destroying social democracy. I think part of it is the left shouldn't get pulled in to exclusively populist rhetoric, which can be repurposed, as you're pointing out, by bad actors. Like, for example, free college for everyone, except as long as you're white. We want to stick with the policy-based approach of social democracy, but that's going to be a bigger question for the future.
All right. Great. Well, thank you for taking my call, David.
Appreciate the call. Great to hear from you.